So, hello. Today I am talking with Mollie Teitelbaum, who is a bachelor's in philosophy in NYU, right? Not anymore. What's your
So I got my bachelor's in philosophy and comparative literature from
mm-hmm.
Binghamton University.
I think
And
but you're
now
applying.
now I'm a master's student at
Mm-hmm.
NYU
See.
and I'm applying to more grad school. So it's a lot of school to keep track of.
I
I
was I
understand.
was almost right. That's okay. I will not take this out. But anyway, so how's New York at this time of the year?
Hot. It's so hot. I think it's unprecedentedly hot. An unusual heat wave has been going on for a month or so. I sort of try to stay inside.
Mm,
It's my
yeah,
strategy.
yeah. I have the same. We have the same problem here in Rhineland Palatina. How do you say it in English? Yeah, I think so. Um, it's like super hot, and it's like the hottest region in Germany. And we had like a week ago, we had temperature higher than like I don't know Sicily and stuff, and it has been really hot. And I have the problem is the biggest problem is in Germany we don't have air conditioning like at all.
I just heard about this. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, we didn't never needed it. So now I feel I
So hot.
yeah,
That's terrible.
yeah, it's very terrible. So my windows are closed most of the time. I have the what's it called,
Blinds?
the blinds. Yes, thank you. The blinds down because the heat just through the sun is unbearable, and
Oh, so it's dark and hot.
it's dark and hot, and I'm just sitting in my underwear. Not now, but most of the time. And I think it would be like very smart to invest in like German air cons in the next couple of years, because I feel like there will be a lot more of those. I feel like I should invest in air conditioning.
Because global warming?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good. Why not make money on global warming if you can,
That's
right?
a good move.
Yeah, just just uh, just do it. Anyway, but it hasn't been only hot, I hope, in New York. What have you been up to?
I got this fun part-time job teaching English to kids in China
Hmm.
every weekday morning. It's
Every
pretty
weekday
fun.
morning? How
Yes.
often is that? I don't understand this
Oh,
word.
Monday through Friday.
Ah,
Morning.
so it's like the work days.
Yep.
What's it called again?
Weekday.
Weekday. Okay.
Yeah.
Learning English
That doesn't
with
actually
Molly.
make sense because all 7 days are part of the week.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's like that.
In Germany we call them work days or working days. So that
That
makes
makes more
sense.
sense.
Yeah. Well, Germans make a lot of sense most of the time. But yeah, did you learn some Chinese?
No.
Why? The kids
It's
must be
an
like,
immersion class.
okay,
So I
so,
only speak to them in English.
but don't they just sometimes say something and you're like, what does that mean?
Not really.
Not really.
They stick to English or they don't speak.
Hmm.
Yes, I think that makes them more motivated to learn if it's going to be the only way that they're communicating during class time.
Well, it's the only thing you understand. So
It's true.
basically, so how does that work? Do you like talk to them? Do you give them some exercises?
It is the coolest software. It's a whole teaching software in every class. I have four students, and their videos are at the bottom of my screen.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's little chapters on the top left corner of my screen that I can click through as we complete activities.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to sort of time it. So every chapter is just a few minutes for the half an hour lesson.
Mm.
And either it's index cards and I read them and they repeat them, or it's a game, or I put their videos on the screen and they talk to each other.
So they can communicate with each other as well.
Yeah, they can always hear each other, but they can only see each other if I put their video up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they don't actually know each other.
No, they're all over China in their
cool.
home.
So they're not even like all from Hong Kong or something.
No.
Okay, Hong Kong is not really China. From Shanghai.
Yeah. Well, right.
Okay, cool. But that sounds interesting. How did you get to do that?
I did my job search on Indeed.
Hmm.
You've probably seen the commercials. They're sort of everywhere.
I don't know if we have the Indeed commercials, but I'm also like when I'm looking for jobs right now, I'm always on Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. This episode is not sponsored by Indeed.
Well, just to make that clear, I applied for like 9 jobs on Indeed, and this is the only one that even responded at all.
Okay. Well, maybe it's the but you did search for like teaching jobs in English, or what else were you looking for?
I was looking at camp. I didn't want to be a camp counselor, but I was considering being, a leader for camp counselors. And I was looking at some social and emotional learning job for a refugee academy, like for kids who have newly come to America who are refugees and who are going to start integrating into the public school system. And they do this like summer school intensive thing. We needed like a social emotional teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps I was not qualified for that job,
Nope.
but it sounded cool. Although what I ended up with is way better for me because I don't have to leave the house, and it's easy, and I'm done by 9:20 every morning, and I still feel like I'm working a little bit, so it worked out well.
That's good. Sounds great. Well, and what do you do the rest of the day?
Well, I usually go to the gym.
Mm.
Sometimes I do things with my mom. We'll go shopping, we'll go visit my grandma, but most of the time I stay home and I read and I write. I'm working on a new article now.
You still have to send me those books. Yes.
Yes.
Those books that you could have given me in Haifa.
Well, I wasn't going to give them to you anyway. I was just going to take photos of the relevant articles, but now I have to remember what those were.
See, you just made it worse for yourself.
Sorry, and for you.
It's alright. I will survive. No, I still have to finish my Game of Thrones books anyway, which take time. But so, do you miss Haifa?
So much. Not just the dry heat, although that was awesome. It has a whole different energy there. I think it's more communal. Did you get that sense?
I think so. But it's funny. It's like everything's more communal, but everyone is even more like at each other's throats.
Yes.
So both at the same time, kind of like family,
right.
Like a big family.
Right. Which I think is better. I think that blunt and open is better than polite and distant.
Mm-hmm.
That would be America, polite and distant, and probably also Germany, right?
I don't know. It's like I have a new American friend, by the way, which I'm very happy about.
Aww.
so I can keep talking English a few days of the week, and yeah, he's been here for like 2 years. His parents are like from German like ancestry.
That's so cool.
And he's been here for 2 years and like married a few months ago or something. to a German girl, and yeah, like what did he tell me? He's like the best
Right, because he knows well.
to explain the differences. How did he say it? I don't know. He we've been talking a lot about beer because we are working at the at
Oh, he works at the bar with you?
yeah, he's also a bartender, so he finds it very funny that we have to like when we make beers with
Yeah.
how's it called, well, if you like make fresh beer out of the
Eek. My beer terminology is certainly.
God damn it!
lacking.
What's it called? Wait, I have to Google it
Oh
because
God.
this I have to say it. Also, I want to know what's it called. Just a second. So anyway, when we're making beers, we have to see that like the foam on the top is like nice and smooth and stuff and stays
Tap.
there. What?
Beer tap.
Beer tap. Yeah. So if we make fresh beers, it has to like the foam has to be like on top and like nice and has to be presented. Yeah, presented nicely, and it has to be like 3 inches thick.
That's some substantial foam.
Yeah,
flavor.
exactly. And he was saying like nobody except for Germans cares about it. Like
I don't understand. I don't drink beer. Do
Yeah.
you eat the foam?
you don't eat you just drink it and it like goes down with the time, but it's just like nice, this yellow and the white on top, the yellow
Oh, it's
beer and the
an
white on top.
aesthetic thing.
Yeah, it's an aesthetic thing.
I
And
feel like the foam would get in the way.
it doesn't. No, it really doesn't. But like, we really have to take care of it, or like the girls will come back and tell me, can you put some more foam on it? I'm like,
Really?
yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure. It has to look.
That's so
it has,
funny.
It has to look very nice, or they will not bring it out to the clients. Not clients. What's it called?
Customers.
Customers. Yes, thank you.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I can't believe I can't believe they would care.
Yeah. It's like really important to have the beer to be like presented nicely. It has to have like this thick foam, and like he was telling me that he at first when he started working there, he had like a big problems to do that correctly, because you have to like get the beer out, and then it has to stay so that the foam stays on it and gets a little bit more tough, because the bubbles that accumulate, they are like more resistant, and then you put more beer and then the foam goes up, and then it's nice. So it's like you need like 3, 4, 5 minutes to have a good beer. So you just don't put it in and then it's it and give it out. No, you have to like put it in, wait until the foam goes down, then put in more beer afterwards, and then the foam will be nice and thick, and it will be presentable. I don't know if anyone can understand what I'm talking about, but this is
science.
It's be like that sometimes. Anyway, so that's my job right now. I'm working at the bar, and it's like very nice. Now I remember what we were talking about. So yeah, this friend of mine, and he what did he say? He likes it here as well. Like he likes the like he realizes that America and Germany is very different in some ways, but yeah, I have to talk to him again to
Yeah, let me know.
to really understand what are the differences. But I think there are some. He was we had like a very long discussion about politics and stuff, because like 2 days ago when we were working together, there was like the bar was almost empty all the time, so we just kept talking to each other, and he was like saying that the free speech issues here are like very different, because when you tell someone here that he's an asshole, he can like call the police and and he gets a fine. So if you call someone an asshole, you get a fine, and you don't.
In what context? Because of course not if it's your parent.
No. If some guy was just like, hey, you asshole.
I don't know why I just jumped to parent. I definitely have never called a parent of mine that.
What's your relationship with your mother?
Amazing. I love
That's
her.
good. That's good.
Wait, that's my mind is blown. I really didn't know that.
Yeah. So if someone like curses at someone, it's like cursing at someone is can get you a fine, right? Yeah, that's how it's called.
Yeah.
So yeah, things like that. So that you can do that in America and no one gives a
You
shit.
sure can.
Yeah. You
I think
asshole.
it's recommended.
Yeah. That's how you make friends or enemies.
In New York, for sure.
Yeah. Everyone's an asshole anyway. Yeah, but yeah, tell me about like how did you like remember the time in Haifa and in Israel?
Whew. I really miss being there. I think that the most striking part of my memory is how much my experience changed throughout the time there. Just, I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. I started thinking about this recently. I was not prepared. I did not consider the extent to which I would be away from my whole support system and everyone for the first time, because I sort of thought like, oh, I went away for college. But that's not the same. Because I never came home, and I didn't stay in touch like I normally would have. I was like, this is my adventure. I'll just call when I have to. But even if I sort of felt like I needed to talk to someone, I had this rule set in my head. So then I think I was less likely to just like use my human resources like I might normally. But I figured that out after some time.
Yeah.
And overall, like by the end I was so comfortable that now I just miss Haifa. I like got used to the half an hour bus ride everywhere. I got used to the lack of variety in the supermarkets as compared to what I'm used to. And I definitely got used to Reuben hamburgers, so
that's a nice thing to get used to.
I really miss Haifa.
Yeah.
I got used to you and Simona too.
Haha. Yeah, we are lovable people in a way.
Yeah.
In a way. I actually I talked to Simona today. Like I wrote with her. Oh really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So excited.
Say hi.
I will.
Yeah. Yeah. What did I want to say? Yeah. You didn't seem like you had big trouble adjusting. Like at all. Like we never like even in the beginning, in like the first 1 or 2 months, we didn't have like a discussion where we were like, where you were saying things like, oh my god, I am so confused about X, Y.
Right. The first month, I was like walking on air. I don't know if you remember. You guys were like, this is going to wear off. You know that, right? Because I was just like, I'm in Israel. Like, nothing can make me sad. But it did wear off. And then...
yeah, you had like you were looking at it in like a weirdly positive way.
Because I had been looking forward to that trip for 4 years.
Yeah, that was my that was what I didn't have like at all, because I just came to Israel.
Right. We were in such different positions.
Yeah, I was like, we'll see what happens.
Eventually, it lived up to and surpassed my expectations. But definitely there was a time in the middle beginning when I was worried that it just wouldn't, and that I got over excited.
Yeah. No, I was happily my expectations that I almost didn't have were surpassed by a lot. So yeah, I also quite miss Haifa, and
now you might go back.
Yeah, we'll see about that. But yeah, I am definitely I would be very happy to do that. And
Special place.
yeah, it is a special place. Like it took probably almost all of the time to really get to the place, to really sink in for me that I really like it there, like and like it for it being what it is.
Right.
Like, I mean, we were in a situation which was very special and very not not usual. We didn't have like the normal Israeli experience. You know what I mean?
Know what the normal Israeli experience is.
Yeah, exactly. And but you would know if you were to live there for like not on a Wujis program with like
Well, I think
Tamar visiting every 2 weeks and asking you how you are, you know?
Right. My last couple of months when I was spending all my time in Tel Aviv, I think that's when I started to get a sense.
Yeah.
But I do sort of get the sense that Israel is less like that than other places, less like uniform. I don't think that us having a unique experience necessarily makes it not Israeli.
Oh no, it sure is one part, but like I feel like this is actually one of the why I feel like I want to come back to Israel, as I feel like I had this experience which was very like not like special is not the word that I mean, like unique. Yeah, it was a unique experience. But I wanna see how like the actual everyday life
you haven't spent. That was your first time spending extended time in Israel.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah.
That's a strange getting to know you, Wujis.
Yeah, it is. No, but I remember also like you got used to like traveling in Haifa, which is such a pain in the ass, but in the end you were like, it's okay.
I liked it.
Right. Yeah, in the end you were like, okay, I will sleep on the bus for 20 minutes and I'll be back home.
Oh my goodness, never sleep. Music and podcasts. But I felt like I could reflect on the day. That was like the most important aspect of my bus ride. And just that it was the same every day. So I sort of had this continuity of experience from having the day-to-day same bus ride. I really liked it.
Yeah. But also like I remember the travel from Haifa to Tel Aviv and back is also like in the beginning it was like such a drag. But then you're like kind of were okay with it. Every time you got a seat, it was alright. If you didn't get a seat, that was when it was
right.
Like,
it's
really
all
bad.
about the seat.
Yeah, it's all about the seat. Because if you can sit down for an hour, then it sucks. If you can, it's okay.
Oh, I thought you said if you can, it's yeah. I agree.
But also, yeah, the only thing I'm still salty about is that it's so far away from the beach for us. Like not so far away. Like it's a very first world exclusive problem to be half an hour away from the beach, but you are half an hour bus ride away from the beach. Even more so if it's Shabbat and you have to change the bus
or walk
and then you get lost for one more hour, right? Not looking at anyone. But yeah. Anyway, but anyway, we weren't there just for fun. We also had work to do. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can tell me something about your work that you were doing there.
Sure. Yeah. I was working as a research assistant for a philosophy of psychology professor at the University of Haifa, Aaron Ben Zaev. Mm-hmm. He specializes in philosophy of psychology, but specifically, he's been studying emotions for the past few decades, and most recently, 20 years of studying love.
Mm-hmm.
He knows so much about love. He's working on this book manuscript. I think that the book should be published by the beginning of next year. So I read that very many times, quite closely.
Mm-hmm.
And we worked on concepts together, and we worked on a couple of articles together. And I learned a lot about love, but I was also pleasantly surprised that I think it's widely applicable to non-love related topics, and especially my interest of well-being and what people need to feel good. The kinds of differentiations and concepts that he covers in the framework of love are very easily extended outside of that framework. So I felt like I got a great background in the philosophy of emotion that I can work with going forward.
So is it like applying what you learned? Is it like the love that you feel for, or how a relationship with a person that you love? Can you just say that the relationship that you have with your job should be basically not the same, but you have to apply the same. You can apply the same tools to understand if the relationship between you and your workplace is good, or you and your, I don't know, your parents, and you and your car. I don't know.
Well, I don't
Does this question make sense?
I don't think it's that straightforward. I don't think it's a one-to-one relation, but I'll give you an example. He talks about relational and non-relational properties. And a property is like a characteristic, like your personal attributes, things like humor and friendliness and intelligence, drive, compassion, any characteristic. But basically the distinction is that non-relational properties have to do with you as a person as you go about doing your tasks. They don't relate to anybody else. So if you're driven, that's a non-relational property. If you're intelligent, well, that it's relational in some aspect, like it'll be easier for you to relate to people. In another way, it's more about a unique quality of yourself. And what he talks about is how when we're picking a partner, we tend to jump to obsessing over people's non-relational qualities, things that have maybe that set them apart or make them seem special or something like that. But really, it's the relational properties, things like tolerance and responsiveness, like how attentive you are to someone during conversation, or compassion, or caring, or respect. These sorts of dynamic properties are much more indicative of success in a relationship. So obviously that's not only true for romantic relationships. This is a good way to understand our own characteristics, and a good way to interpret how we should assess other people's properties, like where our emphasis should be. So yeah, that's just one tiny thing. He really has like 100+ concepts just like that, and it's just one small thing, but it has so much to it. And it's not a hard leap from romance to platonic relationships.
Okay, I get that. So but it's funny, your professor, he's like a very known person in Israel.
He is.
Yeah, so what has he been doing the last couple of years to get such a status?
Right. Well, he's had some high positions at the University of Haifa, like he was the provost and the dean, or whatever that's called. President, maybe? I don't know. basically both significant university positions he's held at different times in his career rather recently. And just last year, he was a expert advisor on a very popular reality TV show in Israel. I think it exists in other countries too, but it happens to be quite popular in Israel. It's Marriage at First Sight. And I think they try and get good people on the show and then match them up with a partner who would be compatible for them. So they get psychologists and I guess philosophers who specialize in love to try and create these matches. So sometimes people stop him because they recognize him. It's very funny.
That's funny. So is it like, have you seen one of the episodes?
Actually, no. But I've been planning to watch it. I think I'm going to think it's the funniest thing ever. I feel like I might end up watching the whole season.
Yeah, you probably want to watch...
I'm sort of saving it. I'm really so excited about it.
Yeah. You probably want to watch the season with him, I assume.
Oh my gosh, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to...
Really? I would have expected for you to be like, I want to see what he's doing there.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But that's cool.
Oh, I understand what you mean now. Yes, of course. I'm not interested in the show. I just want to see Aaron.
Yeah. Okay. So
what did you watch it with him?
Oh no, of course not. Oh my god. No, but that's also awful probably for him. I don't think that people who like act in those shows want to see themselves like babble
and they
their
asked
way
him
through.
to do another season, but
really?
He said no. He feels like he has more
things to do.
Yeah.
But that's cool. That's funny. Yeah, but so maybe like tell me a little bit more that you learned about love and what you can help the lonely people out there, how to form meaningful, stable relationships with one another.
Yes. Okay. So there's a lot of distinctions involved. The next one that's really important is between intense love and profound love. So intense love is more to do with lust. It's a brief, instant emotion. It has to do with your whole impression of somebody, and it's strong and it does motivate interest in someone, but he distinguishes it from profound love, which the main component of profound love is time. Because you need to get to know the other person and develop your connection. And intense love is usually stronger at the beginning of the relationship, but profound love later in the relationship is much more predictive of the relationship's success, because it's really deeply understanding and appreciating your connection with somebody for who they are. So that's sort of the goal, big goal. Another thing that's important is besides strengthening the bond, which is obviously very primary in a relationship, it's pretty much about the bond. But this is less instinctual, I think. He says it's really important to promote one another's flourishing activities. So your flourishing activities are the ones that make you experience flow. And to experience flow, you need to have expert knowledge in something and enjoy doing it. So maybe somebody is a writer or an artist, or maybe somebody is just really good at communicating with other people. They're like a therapist or something, and when they talk to people and work out problems, like that is what really makes them feel satisfied. It's this very human experience of sort of like expert satisfaction. So basically what he says is super specific. It's that you have to understand yours and your partner's flourishing activities, and you have to give them opportunities and sort of encourage that they do them.
Mm-hmm.
So someone whose partner is a writer and is always like, why are you writing instead of hanging out with me?
Mm-hmm.
In his eyes, that's a really high level transgression, because it means that the relationship doesn't encourage at least one of the partners, one of their most significant aspects of how they feel good. So that was really helpful to me.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously also easily extended away from romantic relationships. We all need to understand and cultivate our flourishing activities and give ourselves space to do them.
Okay, so what about if you meet a new person that you feel attracted to? What are like things that you should look for? So it wouldn't be things like, like this person,
they're charismatic.
Yeah, they do sports and have a great physique. It's like
right.
those kind of things that we really look into or look after are basically not those things that make a relationship work in the end.
Right. Looks turn out not to be nearly as important as we would expect, although there are some pretty bizarre gendered statistics. Like, if a partner is significantly more attractive than the other partner, if the attractive one is a woman, then that doesn't seem to affect whether or not the relationship will last. Like, married couples where the woman is more attractive are just as happy as ones where they're the same. But married couples where the man is more attractive, which does not happen nearly as frequently, involve less satisfaction. So that's, I think, really interesting. But for the most part, people overvalue looks, especially because they forget that attraction can develop when you get to know somebody. And Love at First Sight, he does write about love at first sight and basically says that it's not bad, but isn't enough to confirm the development of profound love. Like, it just means that you have very intense love, that you're experiencing a lot of lust immediately. That doesn't have anything to do with how much lust you'll experience later, necessarily, or, more importantly, how connected you are and to what extent you'll bring out the best in each other, which is way more important. So, for your question, like, if you meet somebody and you're super attracted to them, it's really important to try and get to know them. Like, it might even be important to de-emphasize for yourself that attraction, because you know that it doesn't count as much as you feel like it does. Like, it's more superficial than your emotional experience is making you feel like it is. It seems like everything, it's so important, and it's clear what you want, but really you don't even know the person. And you need to get to know someone to find out if they're good for you and if you'd be good for them.
Okay, so the best way to like get over that, to see if the relationship actually has a future, is the best way is to like actually understand each other.
Right.
It seems so simple that everyone should be able to know that, but like it seems like it isn't that way. How is that?
Well, the first thing I'm thinking of is it seems so simple for people to look for people who make them feel good. But people don't even do things themselves that make them feel good. We are not good at this optimizing our well-being thing. Our instincts are bad. Like, first of all, we overvalue what we already have. So if somebody has a partner or they're dating, they're less likely to break up with them just because of the fact that they're already dating.
Yeah.
And then we don't know what's good for us. People struggle with being mindful. It's not obvious that somebody would even be trying intentionally to pick the partner who would make them feel good. But if they are actually mindfully trying, they might not be good at it. They might not know what's good for them. For example, I can think of wow, I'm like trying to decide which example to pick from. That's so upsetting. Of which of friends chasing after the wrong qualities, but actually consistently. Like, if all of their exes were in a room together, they're similar to each other. Like, some people go for bad boys. I think we've spoken about this. That's a bizarre thing. Like, people who actually break rules. If somebody breaks rules, that means they're more likely to break your rules. Like, they're not going to do the things that you set out for them as what you want, and yet there's this component of being, some people are just interested in that. Maybe it makes somebody more mysterious or dangerous, but those aren't in line with our long-term goals for relationships. That doesn't really make sense. But I guess the kinds of things that are often good for us, like positivity and calmness and caring, could seem boring. That could be an obstacle that you don't even stay for the second date.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times for really good people, the most interesting parts of them, you need to get to know. So it's important to remind yourself that, like, you can't assess whether somebody is boring or interesting when you first meet them. You don't even know them.
So how do you, like, decide how you move on with a relationship? Let's make a example. There's this guy and this girl, and they both have some kind of attraction for each other, and let's give them tropes. What's the girl like?
The girl is
anxious.
Okay, so like insecure, and a really good artist.
Okay.
And she has family problems, but good friends.
Okay. And the guy is like a engineer type who's like very focused and calm and very like analyzing, but has maybe a little bit of problems to communicate feelings.
Lower emotional intelligence.
Yeah, exactly. Not that he's like
not low, but just not.
But not very high. Okay. So those two people meet and they kind of feel attracted to one another. And let's say there's the end of the first date, and the guy is like, oh, she's like, okay, let's say the guy is just like very attracted to her because she's good looking, and the girl is like, I don't know, he seems a little bit bland. What's the next move? How do you know if this is how do you know at the end of the first date what to do?
Right. I mean,
is this too complex?
No. It's just it's a lot of unknowns. Like we just came up with a couple of stereotypes, and now we're talking about how the stereotypes interact. So we're pretty much making stuff up. But
we are.
I guess what you're asking is if two people are a little bit attracted to each other, but the girl thinks the boy might be boring, should she go on another date? Or what kind of date maybe should she go on?
Yeah.
So I think that if you're not sure, you're supposed to go on another date. Like, because why not?
Mm-hmm.
But if you feel like you're missing information, like you don't know if the person's boring or not, then maybe you pick, if you went to a restaurant and you were just talking one on one, maybe you should go bowling, or maybe you
Mm-hmm.
should go to an amusement park or a horse race or
Mm-hmm.
something more interactive. But
Outside of the box as well.
yeah, it's important to remember that people are more comfortable in different settings.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think is an important aspect for getting to know someone. But I think that talking, asking somebody what they're passionate about, or the best day of their life, or what would their ideal day look like, these sorts of things that bring out the more attractive parts of someone.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good way to go about dating.
Okay, that's interesting. So, so basically, if you feel like after the first date, you don't feel like you hate the person, and you feel like you have to find out more, why not find out more? Even if
Yeah,
you're maybe a little bit bored, but maybe like, I mean, as you said, people are like walking around with a lot of biases, and you can just meet a person at the wrong time of the day, and then
totally.
the sparks are just
Or
not.
talk about a sensitive topic. Like
Yeah,
maybe you picked the
somehow.
most unappealing thing you could have heard them speak about.
Hmm. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so and how do you then we can stay by those two people. How do you then realize if there are some red flags, and how do you see them? If
Right.
if they had like their second date and things turned out well, and now they're like in a 1 month relationship, and let's say either the guy is like really too focused on his work, and is like not paying too much attention to how she feels, or she is like too, what could she be, uh too, basically the same, doesn't matter. Let's say both, one of both is not really paying attention to the other.
Well, and maybe she is like, getting, because we said she was insecure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
maybe she's like getting very upset most days and like wants for him to fix it, but
Mm-hmm.
nothing's really changing. Like she
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel confident in their relationship,
Okay, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
is taking it out on him, let's say.
yeah. But he's also just taking it instead of like saying it, instead of working through it. So both have like those problems, but they are not working through it.
Right. So, I think that my favorite love related thing I learned from Aaron is that two people, like once they get to know each other, we're looking for people who are good for each other and bring out the best in each other as they already are. That's not to say if they struggle with something, like if they know that they talk too much and they need to be a better listener.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be with someone who's a good listener and the person isn't there yet, that's not the same, because it's like they understand this flaw and they're working on it. People are
Mm-hmm.
going to grow, and hopefully they're good to help each other grow together. But what it does mean, something like somebody's shy, you can't expect your partner to become outgoing. Like if you want an outgoing partner and you're dating somebody shy,
Mm-hmm.
you should break up with them.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't try and change somebody, and you shouldn't let somebody try and change you.
Mm-hmm.
So I see people do this a lot. I think it's like once you're dating somebody, it's easier to
Mm-hmm.
just keep dating them and you're overvaluing your history together.
Yeah.
But there are many deal breakers. Like, for example, if the girl is probably working on becoming less insecure. She probably, if she knows that this is a problem for her,
Mm-hmm.
then that's a very different problem than if the boy isn't giving her the time she deserves and is working instead. That means that he's prioritizing his work always above their relationship, and that's just a no-no. So
Mm-hmm.
what she should do is say, I'm insecure, like I struggle with this problem, and it's definitely not your fault, but something that I do need is for
Is
us to
your
talk every day.
support?
And if we can't talk every day,
Mm-hmm.
then, or whatever it is, every
Yeah.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
then we shouldn't be together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that happens very often.
Yeah. Man, relationships are hard. Are they,
Yeah.
or are they not?
Yeah. Well,
What do
I
you
don't know.
do you feel like
I think when you're with the right person, they're easy.
so okay, so is it really this way that if you're with the right person, certain things just get easier?
Mm-hmm. I do believe.
Okay, so how does that like look like?
Okay, let me tell you about my well, who's a good example? I have some good examples in my family,
Okay.
but I'll tell you about my. I don't know.
You don't have
I'll
to
tell
say
you about
names. It
someone
doesn't
in my
matter.
family.
Yeah, exactly.
They are, so she is friendly and positive and very confident and happy and very good at communicating with people. Just no fear, makes everyone in the room feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And he is very caring and sweet and more quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And also has more changes in his mood. When they're together, they like merge. They're not the same, but she, I think, is more calm and he is more friendly. But both of them, I mean, she's really positive all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but both of them just are like treasure their time together so much. So they're pretty excited just to be together, and that bond makes their whole experience with the outside world better. Like they complement each other and they're excited to be together.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two really powerful things. Like getting a certain aspect of yourself strengthened by being with another person and actually being enthusiastic about the company that you keep.
Mm-hmm. That's important. And okay, do you have like what did you learn about like people who have very big like a lot of struggle to even get into a relationship? What about like those
I did
lonely
not
hearts?
learn anything about them. His book is about what creates a healthy romantic relationship. He doesn't talk about bad versions, like bad relationships.
Mm-hmm. I know, okay, but like are there any kind of tools that you learned about for people who are struggling a lot with that kind of to even get into a relationship?
No, I really didn't learn about that at all. If I told you something, it would just be something that I'm making up.
Oh no, okay, no, you didn't. I was just like curious because we are I realize we are talking about actually relationships, but like we don't go the step before. We
Right.
don't see the step before of like a person like looking for a partner overall. Because
Maybe we should watch Marriage at First Sight,
oh, is this the?
the dating show.
Oh yeah, okay, maybe we should. Yeah. So what about like what about love songs and like books and TV shows? Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of we do talk in media. There's a lot of talk about love. How much of that is like actually has some kind of meaningful impact? Because I feel like there's a lot of there's a lot of love songs. There's a lot of comedy love, what's it called, rom-coms, and
Yes.
like books with like people kissing each other half naked, and like but how much does it inform us in, and in which way does it maybe inform us in a way that isn't all that great? Because I feel like if all those, like, because we are surrounded by it so much, and learn about love so much through entertainment, we should be all much smarter, but it seems like we aren't,
Right.
right?
So Aaron does something in all of his books, which I love, which is that he puts at the top of every chapter
Hmm.
a couple of quotes from real life, either songs or just things that famous people have said.
Hmm.
And I'm amazed. It's like he has so many sections, and for every little concept, he finds something relevant from media.
Hmm.
So I think there's a lot of great stuff out there, but also a lot of really toxic, incorrect attitudes towards love, like a lot of objectification, a lot of trying to change your partner, a lot of unhealthy or abusive relationships. So there's really bad stuff out there,
Hmm.
but not all of it.
Hmm. Okay, so it again depends on who you're listening to, and how much you're listening to
For
what they're
sure.
saying. Okay. Well, yeah. And so, how how do you apply what you learned? Could you apply what you've learned already in a way? You don't have to get too personal, of course, but
Oh, you mean about love?
yeah.
Yes. I I used to do something that Aaron calls the checklist
Hmm.
method,
Okay.
which means deciding the positive characteristics that you want a theoretical partner to have, and the negative ones that you don't want them to have. So, sort of like creating this imaginary person that you then compare all of the other people to.
Hmm.
Which she said was bad because everybody's unique, and that makes you closed off and more likely to make uh, early judgments. Like when you meet somebody, like that first date scenario, if something, if they seem boring, well, if boring's on my no list, then they seemed boring, so I can't go on another date with them. But that could
Hmm.
be wrong because you
Hmm.
don't actually know. And looking at people in this mechanical way is not in the spirit of love.
Hmm. Oh, that's interesting. So how? Okay, but it does make some. It does open people up for to try out more, actually, doesn't it? In a way.
Making a
Bec-
checklist?
no, 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 not opening up people more to try to see that the checklist doesn't mean too much.
Right.
To
Right.
like to like
But it,
open up to basically if someone is like, I want a person who is like very outgoing, and then they meet a person who's not very outgoing, but then they realize it's also nice to
exactly. Just that whether
uh,
somebody is outgoing or shy
mm,
isn't isn't going to be the determining factor of whether or not they're good for you. You just can't tell.
mm,
So it's stupid even, but it's a little bit complicated because what he's definitely not saying is that we shouldn't be mindful of somebody's properties and characteristics as we get to know them. Like
mm,
he really says the opposite. People are a certain way, and we should try and understand that way and think about whether or not it's our way, or experience, better yet, whether or not it's a good way for us.
Okay.
So that I'm a very calculated person. I like to decide things ahead of time and plan, but it's really important in romantic relationships to be able to go with the flow.
That's cool. So how many friends did you already help out with the love related problems?
A lot.
All of them.
It's weird. I feel like I have this secret knowledge
Mm-hmm.
now. I forget, and then somebody asks me because it happens all the time. Like, my friends are mostly in relationships. And then I start to think about it, and then I realize I have so much to say. Like, Aaron gave me this entire framework through which to understand these sorts of problems. It's amazingly useful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, like,
Except the answer with my friends in their early 20s is usually, you shouldn't be with him, which I wouldn't tell them.
okay. Why?
Because
Because if
my
someone is like openly asking like that.
So I try and say things like, you deserve to be with a person who will do X, Y, and Z,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
without making the evaluation, you are with someone now who doesn't do X, Y, and Z. Because you never know. They
Mm-hmm.
could end up with them forever and they're going to love them more.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to have said anything bad about them.
Okay. No, because I read somewhere that like it's like a nice tool to have is when you're in a relationship with someone like in the beginning, and you're kind of insecure about the relationship, that it's actually good to like have like a date with your partner and like three different friends at three different times, so like three friends each, not all at the same time, and then like and those three friends need to be like close friends that like understand you and like have
Right.
spent some significant time with you and need to want to the best for you need to want the best for you, yeah. And that you basically have those three dates with those three friends, and that you ask those friends like, so what do you think about, is this working, and that this should be like a good tool to understand if because in the beginning, yeah, like you said, you can look at the relationship like in a very wrong way because you're like this passionate love, or how is it called,
Intense.
intense, that you have this intense love, but that might not be very meaningful, and
Mm-hmm.
that through with this tool you can like ask your friends and see if that's any, if this has any strength in it, so that it's like a good relationship you're in. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
totally.
So so this method is like valuable.
I think
Have
it
you heard
depends
about
on,
it?
no,
No.
but I
Does,
think it depends on the kind of person. Like, if you're not self-aware,
mm-hmm.
then you need this because you're
But my point is that no one is self-aware if the person is at the beginning of the relationship in this mode of this this love that you
right that
described
it
again.
like blinds you.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
that you
I think
like
getting to know people's friends is important
mm-hmm.
anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. But to actually ask like friend one, friend two, and friend three, what do you actually think about?
Right. I'm weary about this as a death. I'm not saying that this couldn't be valuable sometimes and that friends can never provide useful insight,
Oh, it's not like it wasn't
but
also presented as something that is true all the time and will definitely
right.
be, but it will be
Yeah.
like a compass that's like.
Right. I just think it's framing it that way, you wouldn't want for a friend to get ahead of themselves and sort of think they can tell more than they actually can. Like, if they're just guessing or they want to make it seem like they know their friend really well or they think they know their friend really well, and just one meal or one whatever
Hmm?
seems like not that much time. More useful than assessing the relationship, I think, would be to describe the interaction. Just, provide another perspective on the interaction.
No, because I feel like only through the interaction you can like tell so much. Because I have a friend right now who's in a relationship with someone else, and like every time I see them together, I like don't understand why they are together, like at all. Like they are like not. There's no like. It's not even like friendly or anything. It's like not fun looking at them, and I'm like, what is this relationship? But I didn't say anything, and I will probably keep not saying anything because it's not my cup of tea.
Right. I think a good thing a friend can assess is their friend's enthusiasm. Like, you should be into it.
Yeah.
It blows my mind how many people overlook the fact that they're not very into it.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, because you have to see that you want that, basically. It must be like, because like what's like people say, like what's the strongest emotion? If it's not love, then what is it, basically? So if you're in love with someone, how is it possible for one not to see that you are?
Right. Exactly. Like, the hard part of a relationship shouldn't be caring. It should be maybe not caring too much or something.
Yeah, which is also hard to like distinguish between like how to respect each other's boundaries also in a relationship, where you have to find out like again, one person can be like more not like helpful, but like helpful, the other isn't too helpful, and like that you don't annoy each other, basically.
Right.
Because that also can happen. Like the one person can be like very friendly all the time, and the other person is like, stop doing that, because I need my space.
Right. Partners should make each other feel good.
Yeah. It's still hard. It doesn't get easy, right? It doesn't.
I feel like it does. I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I might be surrounded by rather agreeable people, and maybe less agreeable people don't have a potential for an easy relationship. But I think it should be easy to love someone. Like, if you're with somebody who's good for you, then you feel lucky to have that person. Like, just the fact that you're with them gives you a certain confidence and comfort all the time. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, that's pretty every yeah, okay, let's say it like that. This part is the one that should be easy. Everything else, there will be always something that won't work, and that there will be like someone's
right. Being that intimate with somebody and having such a strong connection and talking about everything and knowing everything about that person is super complicated. Like, you're probably going to annoy each other, but the important part is having the kind of interaction that allows you to annoy each other still lovingly.
Yeah. that's a good point. Annoying each other still lovingly seems right. Like a very important point. Yeah, well, I think it's time for you to go. As I understand,
I should probably get to the writing.
Yeah. So, well, thank you very much for talking with me today. It was
Thanks
big
so
fun.
much for having me, Vasily. Yeah. This is super fun.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm very happy that you are happy